Hello, my name is Feng from the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. Today, I'm going to share you about a recent work that my co-authors and I work on about the innovation about we observe over the past 3 decades that is called Hybrid Paper Digital Interfaces, a systematic literature review. So our interest focus into priority work that focus on the two medium of paper and digital technology into a combined interface, bridging what we call the paper-digital gap. For hybrid paper-digital interfaces, there's actually a significant traditional work that focuses into this area. It has been called a variety of names, including but not limited to augmented paper, paper computing, interactive paper, paper interface. But we decided for the sake of clarity and concise precision to refer to as hybrid paper digital interfaces. So follow the topic, how do we combine paper with digital technology? In the age of mobile computing, shouldn't paper be obsolete? Or if it's not obsolete now, aren't we moving into that directions? Actually, it's not quite. So what we found that in a past works, for example, there's medicine work, air traffic control work, and museum work. We can see the benefits of implementing interfaces which improve aspects of both paper and digital interfaces in domains like the fourth mentioned. So where the use of paper is heavily ingrained in that practice. So we did the literature review. There's a quite a lot of work in our scope, for example, CHI or WIST or IST, etc. There's a quite amount of work on the topic. The literature is amazing, diverse. Specifically, there has been a ton of work proposing and implementing prototypes that addresses lots of questions in the following areas. So, and second is that with increasing availability of AR technology, it has been more easier than ever to embed digital functions into physical objects. However, we noticed that most of the work on the topic predates these technologies. With the available devices that only recently exploit in HCI, we hope to refill the past interest in integrating digital functions in a physical paper. So our review has answered the four research questions. First one, what is the capability and limitations of paper, and how they do align the capabilities and the limitations of digital devices? For question two, in what context are hybrid paper interfaces applicable? For question three, what are the strategies for bridging paper-digital gap? And four, what are the design considerations for guiding the development of hybrid paper digital systems? This is, of course, a significant amount of content. For this video presentation, we'll just focus on a few aspects. I would highly encourage you to go more for details into our papers. And just a quick on our methods. We sample the papers from HCI-related venues and scaffold our understanding with a works set of 8 questions. Then we distill the themes addressing the guiding research that we previously do the comparative discussion. So in here, as a result, we consolidate knowledge on hybrid paper digital interfaces from our perspectives. First, we renewed understanding paper given tons of the work. And second, a list of user cases where paper digital interfaces may be useful. And third, common ways of implementing a paper digital interfaces. Lastly, we present design considerations for researchers, designers, and practitioners to consider going forward. First, understanding paper. How does a past work understand paper and its relationship with these technologies? For example, we discover ubiquity, tangibility, and flexibility, and paper as a static medium, reliable, and permanence. Next, some user cases for digital paper interfaces. For example, updating paper-based practices, enriching interaction, and addressing complications of paper-digital coexistence. And there's a lot of works for common applications domains. For example, urban planning, traffic control, and for the time manners, we do not go details in here. And now we arrive for the most important part is the implementation approaches. For example, paper as an active input device, which can help us enabling active regions and capturing written information and capturing spatial physical properties. As for extending paper's output capabilities, such as visually, orally, physical actuation, and also it enables a cross-media content association and new affordances from bridging paper-digital gap. It has greater interactivity and new ways for working with information and support with remote collaboration and enabling more advanced technologies. We give some illustration about the both mentioned design and implementation considerations. As you can see, one by one, for picture one, people can use bare hands to interact with the paper contents or with the help of a pen. And also they can drag by use the notes and also by adding the oral information and take the linkage between the physical paper to a digital device. So as for design considerations, there are several aspects we should consider. For example, determinants of a sweet spot on paper virtual spectrum and customizability, support for collaboration, and cost and accessibility. Let's go down to detail for paper virtual spectrum. So to consider for conventional paper-based practice with inheritably mobile, like the note-taking for biological field research, or design of a hybrid paper-digital alternative should recreate the mobile nature of task experience. For physical spectrum, we consider to what degree the physical paper-based practice and experience need to be replicated. For the digital one, to what degree users are comfortable with the presence of digital component in the tasks under investigation. And the second spectrum is the customizability. And to what degree the user's approaches to a given task where there's a potential in introducing a hybrid paper interfaces differing on that individual. So one key for the paper is for expressive, free form of capture and representation of papers information. And one example is the music composition, where composers tend to create their own writing notes and the hard schemes for expressing their own ideas. Next is support for collaborations. To what degree is the system optimized for collaborative usage? And what sort of interaction designs can be conducive for collaborating tasks? And next, this focus consideration is about accessibility and cost. Are there any limitations or constraints for special cases on the user's end that the design of hybrid paper digital interfaces must take account of? As a conclusion, there is some reflections and future works that can be done in the future. For example, we additionally encourage researchers to explore the designing appropriate feedback for digital interfaces and also interactions where physical analogs do not exist, or managing current technical limitations, particularly misalignments between physical and digital, either through technology contributions or interfaces design, and also further exploiting paper's characteristics as a highly affordable and available medium. Again, we contribute the understanding of past 30 years on the hybrid paper interfaces from our systematic literature review on a sample of 60 papers of 3 related venues. We outline the relationship between paper and digital devices and the state of art for our innovations. We additionally discuss the user cases, implementation and design approaches, and then we next move on to ubiquitous computing and exploring paper as a potential medium for bridging physical and digital to coexist. And thank you for review our papers for more details. And we are here to thank our co-authors